It is very tough at the moment in terms of the financial climate. We have already had to reduce our budget by more than £200 million since 2010. This period of austerity is now into its 8th year. We are facing another big cut in government grants in 2018-19, and then another big cut in grant the year after. So the times are still very, very difficult. Austerity is continuing, and yet some of the pressures on our services are increasing. Particularly that is true of adults and children's social care, where we have a number of pressures in each of those areas. Not just true of Durham, but true right across the country, and these are putting enormous pressures on council services. So the budget proposals have now been around for several months. We went out to public consultation back in the autumn. We talked to about 3,000 people across County Durham in a variety of meetings across the county. More than 1,100 people returned consultation forms to us with their feedback, and that has allowed us to prioritise the sorts of services that the public are asking us to be prioritised, as we have done previously. As part of that feedback, we asked people if they were generally happy with the proposals, the overall direction being proposed for the budget for this next year, and almost 4 in 5 of respondents said they were. So that feedback has allowed us to go forward into the proposals that came to this meeting this morning and has now passed and will become our budget next year. It remains a very difficult challenge for us each year to balance our books, to make the savings we need to make. This year we have just agreed about another £15 million worth of reductions in our budget on top of those already proposed. And it remains difficult. Those savings come right across some of the functions of the council, albeit we always try to retain our frontline service delivery wherever we can, and that is why that we go out to the public for consultation as we did during the autumn. It's also worth pointing out that we have retained a capital programme. The capital programme comes from other sources such as capital grants from prudential borrowing, for example, and we've always retained a capital programme in Durham for things like economic regeneration schemes, for things like highways maintenance, for disabled facilities grants. We know all of these are very important to the public in Durham, and it's important to retain that capital programme, but we need to emphasise that capital programme is separate from the council's general fund. In terms of that general fund, the pressures on adults and children's services are still very severe, and for that reason, not just in Durham but across the country, councils are finding they have no option but to increase council tax, as well as the use of an adult social care precept, which the government introduced a couple of years ago, and so that will be the case this year as well. Put in a straightforward way, the pressures in adults and children's services that we have no way of funding those from extra grants. There is no extra support in areas like children's services, and this is why this whole process is so difficult for County Durham, as it's difficult across the country. But this today has been the culmination of a lot of hard work, a lot of public consultation, and obviously we thank everybody for the part that they played as part of this year's budget process. So the revenue funding, which is what people's council tax goes into, funds the day-to-day council spending on things like adult services and children's services, which in fact make up now an increasing proportion of that budget, as well as things like the environment, so emptying people's bins, all those day-to-day functions that the council does. The capital programme is a separate budget which comes out of sources such as capital grants and prudential borrowing, and that funds long-term perhaps infrastructure, employability schemes, highways maintenance. So this is capital work, and that is a separate budget which we have maintained at a reasonable level in County Durham, because this is investing in the county's future. It is very important that we maintain that capital programme moving forward, so that the people of County Durham have all the opportunities moving into the future that we need from an economy moving in the right direction. So the two are separate in terms of a capital budget and then the general fund budget, and both of those were looked at the council this morning.